that I know.
All right, I'm gonna put my phone away. Let's rely on. Well,
Yeah, pretend you're live now. I'll let you know. Let's get ahead of this though.
yeah.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. United will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
If we go over there. Oh, I'm sitting here. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Lorenzo with Unicorn Riot. We are live right now in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in front of the federal building. It's called the Whipple building, from my understanding. It's for Never Again Is Now. Twin Cities Never Again action. We are going to be covering this. You can see there's hundreds of people coming out. Twin Cities Jews and immigrant communities have come together to oppose the unjust concentration camps and say enough is enough. They're coming here to basically march on this building. We're going to see what goes on, but thanks for joining us. You can see there's a group of people that's coming this way and over here as well. So this road is now shut down. Again, this is the federal building. This is where the ICE detention building is at, where there are cells inside of it. That's why you have this action here, the Twin Cities Never Again action. Never Again is now. And again, it's being organized by Jewish and immigrant communities to oppose the unjust concentration camps and say enough is enough. This is from their event page. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up their event page. I'm reading it out right now. Unjust concentration, enough is enough. We can't wait for the right time. We need to do this yesterday. We need to do this together. Our cruel and racist immigration system impacts everyone living on this land, from the indigenous people who remember forced removal to those of us brought here as slaves without our consent, and those who were immigrants and refugees fleeing oppression. This action is primarily organized by young Jews in solidarity with immigration justice movements locally and nationally, because Never Again is now. And we're meeting here at the Blue Line Station in Fort Snelling. Again, this is Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is Minnesota. I'm gonna go walk around and show you what's going on. Thanks for joining us. This is Unicorn Riot.
This is what leadership looks like. This is what leadership looks like. This is what courage looks like. This is what courage looks like. Welcome. Hello. Can everyone hear me? Welcome everyone to the Whipple building. There's an immigration court in there deporting people. Tell me how you feel about that. That's pretty good. We got some energy, but you know what? I want all your grief and rage. This is not the place for Minnesota Nice. Let it all out. What do you feel about what's happening in our country, at our borders, and in our state? Yeah, let's keep that energy up so everyone in there can hear us. Welcome. We are here to say that never again means never again for anyone. The anti-immigrant crisis that is happening, it's happening all over the country, not just at the border. And we're here to take action against ICE's detention and terrorizing of immigrant communities today. So as I said, we're here outside the Henry Whipple Federal Building here in St. Paul, Minnesota, which houses Homeland Security offices and an Immigration Review office. And we're here to demand that they close the detention centers, i.e. the concentration camps at the border.
Right now! Right now! Right now!
We're here to demand that they abolish ICE. And we're here to demand permanent protection for all undocumented and documented immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers.
We are also here exactly 1 month from the day that the first Never Again action took place and 36 Jews took arrest at an ICE facility in New Jersey, blocking their driveway and preventing deportation. We also know that today we're here on occupied land. We're less than a mile from Fort Snelling, which served as a concentration camp during the US-Dakota War. Yeah. During the winter of 1862, the United States detained 1,600 Native Americans, 130 of whom died as a result of the inhumane conditions.
That's not fair.
It's not right.
That's not right.
Today, the United States is detaining migrants, many of whom are also indigenous to this continent, in similarly inhumane conditions. They are dying. As Jews, we are here to say never again. As immigrants, as allies, we're here to say never again is now.
Never.
We're here with a lot of community partners. Thank you all for being here. And I want to see if Emilia is in the house. Is Emilia here yet? All right. In that case, what we're going to do is we're going to welcome Mixie, who is the mother of 3, and she is the spouse of somebody who is currently in ICE detention. And we're going to give her a minute. Earlier this summer, local rapper and community member John Bing III, aka Soda Smooth, was detained by ICE. He fled Liberia as an infant, escaping civil war, and he now faces deportation, which would force him to leave his wife, child, and the state he loves for a country he barely knows. Thank you for being here.
Let's give a warm welcome to Mixie!
Thank you. I was waiting on a video call so he could see us all, but I think they were messing with us. They didn't want us to be in solidarity. He's on the phone right now, so give a bunch of love to him. He's in Chevron County, which is about 30-45 minutes up north. It's not an ICE facility, it's a jail. Jails are supposed to be keeping people for like a couple days. Some people up there are up there for years, and they don't ever get to be outside. They don't ever get to feel this, ever. I appreciate everybody who put this together, because it probably is very close to your hearts, as this has happened before, and we can't let this happen again. It's happening very fast. It's getting real Nazi-ish, real. They're gonna come after us, and we're just people who care about other people and children. I have 3 young children, and I also was, I'm an immigrant, I guess. I was adopted when I was a baby from Colombia. My husband, he's from Liberia, and we met in Minnesota, so his rapper name, artist name is Soda, so Minneapolis and the community means a lot to us. So thank you so much. I can't ever give enough thanks for all of you. It's really important to keep showing up, to keep being together, to keep the love. We can do anything with love.
Can we get a "We love you, Mixie and Soda" on 3? 1, 2, 3. We love you, Mixie and Soda! Yeah! All right. Hashtag free soda. Please keep the public eye on that campaign to free him so he can go back to his family as soon as possible. Thank you again, Mixie. So this isn't the only family that's being torn apart locally. This is not a crisis that's far away at a border. It's happening right now in our streets. Earlier just this month in South Minneapolis, ICE agents broke the windows of Yobani Castro Romero's vehicle and violently dragged him away, intimidating and ignoring onlookers who demanded to see a warrant and directing them not to approach their hands on their weapons. So we can see how we have to organize together en masse to disrupt what's happening. That's what we're doing right now. We have people on either side of us in the street making sure that their work cannot go on as normal, okay?
sing these beautiful melodies to teach you all, I'm going to pass it off to Miriam.
All right, folks, we're going to learn a song. So we're going to start off, repeat after me. So, Aish, Tamid, Tukad, Alhamis Bea. Great, so also this is song number 5 on your song sheet. If you don't have a song sheet, Jordan over there is raising arms and you should go find her and grab a song sheet. All right, so one more time. Aish, Tamid, Tukad, Alhamis Bea.
So I was gonna move for a second here. And so you have this rally going on right here. Again, we're in Minnesota outside of the Whipple building here, which is a federal building where it has an ice court and an ice detention, from what we understand. You can see over here, there's groups of people who are holding the street so traffic doesn't come this way. And along with traffic being stopped over here. I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna move a little closer and then I'll move back. You can hear people singing. I'll let you listen to this for a second. So these folks can't leave either. Those folks are stuck on either side of the blockade. You can hear them on the horn. This is the rally in front of the building. You can see there it says Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. So you can see the train going by here. People are walking out from the federal building here and going to their vehicles and trying to leave. And people are disrupting basically this road right in front of the federal building where vehicles aren't allowed to basically travel freely because humans are blocking the road. And then you have the ICE detention center. You have 2 people actually on top of it. You can see right here, the federal building, I apologize, that has the ICE detention center in it. There's 2 people on top. I'm not sure, they have different uniforms. I don't know who or what agencies they're with. And again, we're gonna hear singing here as this rally is ongoing. I'm gonna read you again the event details of what we're covering here. Again, this is Unicorn Riot. We are here live right now in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So this is gonna get more. You can see there's vehicles already here. This truck, this came out pretty fast, heading towards behind this vehicle. They can't move. This other car just came out. It's gonna head that way too and get stopped. And yeah, I don't know exactly what will happen, but you can see that more and more people are trying to leave work in this federal building where an ICE detention center is. I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about the event itself. It's seeing which side are you on. One second here, thanks for bearing with me. So we're gonna move this way a second. Okay, so these people are backing up here. Again, this is the Rendsville Unicorn Riot. We are live right now in Minnesota, the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. Inside is a federal detention center, a federal courts with holding cells. There's some folks looking down. Right here we have a Twin Cities Never Again action. The details on their event page, on their Facebook event page, is Never Again is now, close the camps, no más muertes, no more deaths. And if you have been hearing, there have been multiple deaths in current ICE detentions. They are run not only by the federal government, but also by private institutions. So over here, there's like the cars are trying to move through. So there's people All these buildings now are blocking these vehicles. This vehicle tried to move through them, it looks like, and now there's a... I don't know. I just tried to move again. People are really upset. People are coming out of the car now. The car keeps trying to move through the people. They're telling them not to move. The car keeps trying to move. That's the people are standing in front of it. There's a car blocking the road, actually. So this car is actually trying to go around a car where people are holding hands and singing. And then you have this vehicle that's trying to force itself through the body of folks. There's more security now kind of here. You can see that people are kind of piling up now. An array of this tension is here as this vehicle is trying to move through this. Again, this is a never again is now. They're outside of a federal building here trying to protest the ongoing, what they call here in this event detail, concentration camps at the border. They've already seen multiple children die in their facilities, outside their facilities. People's protests sort of increasing across the country. Here again, we have a never again, Twin Cities never again action. The details again are just, join us on Tuesday. Oof. People are not happy against this. Again, these two vehicles I think are blocking the road. This vehicle is trying to move through the road, and then this vehicle is behind them. And you can see there's people leaning against this. So moving back and forth. I'm not sure. You can see now that the rally over here, the Woodstock a little bit earlier, has moved into the road completely. So that portion of the road is completely blocked off. The other side as well has an entrance that I understand is completely blocked off. And you can hear him trying to stand up, fight back. This vehicle is still moving through. Or so they're letting them through. That vehicle did like push through people. Let's see if I can find an interview or something. I didn't really want to jump in the middle of all that. Let's see. You want to talk about what had just happened, or?
Yeah, sure.
This is Nico who's out here as well.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So what happened was these folks had formed this line, soft blocking the traffic. It turned into a hard block. They pulled up two cars. There was people who were trying to get out. 5 o'clock, this place closes. There's a lot of people trying to leave from the Whipple building, which is the federal ICE building, but also there's a few other places to work up there. People were talking about leaving. This truck has been sitting here for a long time. He smoked a whole cigar. There's a federal police right there, hasn't intervened or anything. And then we have just a continual line.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
There was a woman just a minute ago who was almost running people over. I don't know if you all saw it.
We saw a little bit of it, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it was very close to running people over. Here's another car that's about to run people over. So it's a continual cycle right now.
So this car is trying to push through this crowd. You can see them. So it's a blockade. They don't want people. They want to disrupt the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building, which is part of the federal government. That's federal property there. Inside are ICE detention centers. The Jewish and immigrant community has organized these protests, and allies have come out to stand with them. And right now they're disrupting this road right outside of this federal building, and it's ongoing. You can see that there's more. It looks like more and more people from the rally have moved over this way. And you can see this vehicle here. It's trying to move through. The car is still trying to move. This car is still trying to move. It's like pushing forward over and over again. And these people are holding their ground. Hold on one second. So we're asking them to sit back up. So these folks have been holding this line while behind them vehicles have been trying to push through. They have not moved at all.
In our rightful place.
This vehicle now trying to move through these people. It's actually on the people. So that vehicle made contact with them. Now people are moving that way. And they're holding this space. That is intentions to disrupt traffic. To disrupt this federal building right here is in the background. Been laying on the horn now for a while. I hear them talking. So she's like trying to decide if the right thing to do is to drive through these people or to back up. So this is like what we're watching happen. This person in the car right now is trying to decide if they should drive through these humans or back up.
Because there's a car in the way.
Literally what's going on.
You can't go that way.
Again, these folks have come here to gather to protest the ongoing ICE, what they're calling concentration camps, private prison camps. They're along the border now. Not even along the border, they're across the United States, where immigrant children are being used as little piggy banks and charging the public $750 to put them into a prison and then hold them, each child. So that's basically what's going on. Is along the border, as these immigrants people are coming to the United States trying to get here. The laws are being shifted and changed quickly, and they're imprisoning more and more of them, accelerating that more and more into a majority and more private prisons, where they charge the public $750 to imprison them into a private prison. Those prisons also have quotas, bed quotas they enter into with the local communities, where they have to keep their beds up a certain amount. So those folks who come here are basically protesting child imprisonment. This human being is trying to decide if they can drive through these humans or not, like what decision they should make right now. And someone's trying to explain to them what and why they've come out here, why they feel passionately against it. It was organized by the Jewish and immigrant community, who are saying that what they say is they're concentration camps. They feel some passion. This person wants to know if in their head it's okay to drive through them. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. I don't know. I'm sure they have some place to go, but human being, I don't know. Anyway, so that's what's going on. You can decide. It's fun. We're in front of the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. They've been holding this space now for at least, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. And as people are getting off work, again, the federal building here with the ICE detention, the court and the detention center, or at least cells from what I understand, is closed at 5. So that's why you're seeing all these people trying to leave now and running into the folks who came here to protest the ongoing ICE detention centers. So kind of what is happening right now is that's what's going on. So, let's see if we can... feels a little like uncertain. I'll tell you, this keep going on. I'm not sure how this is supposed to go on until 6, I guess. Listen until into the Facebook details. Oh, pardon.
Which side are you on, my people? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, my people? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, my people?
1 second. Holding their space. More vehicles have blocked, kind of parking along the front of the road. So this block it physically with vehicles now, it looks like. Again, this is we're in Minnesota right now, outside of the federal building. You can see here's all these vehicles now in front of the road. So this car is still trying to move. See, it's gotten that much closer to this vehicle. It's still moving. This person's in between the vehicle and in between the vehicles. And this driver is still moving. So they really explained why they were doing this. They explained everything. This person decided the best intention for them is just keep going. People are saying to make sure that the main priority is the escalation. From the people wearing the vests. So you have this line going on, you have vehicles all the way across here. And this vehicle is still moving. Like it's gonna either crush someone or make contact. That's what's going on here. Again, there's been there's like police officer watching, like a federal DHS officer right there. He's onlooking as well. And you have some people on the building. Besides that, there's been like no like visible authorities have come out here. Again, I'm on this side. If you go down that way in front of the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, near Fort Snelling. Oh, you're good. There's a bunch of people actually in the middle of the road. So this is actually not everybody who's come here to bring attention to what's going on along the borders, what's going on with ICE detention camps. There's actually hundreds of people over there as well, and also on the other side. I can't tell you what's going on those sides. I'm here on this side where we're seeing these vehicles running into the folks all in the middle of the street here. I'm going to try to find you an interview, which see how we do it. Give me 1 second. They said she's trying to squash a couple of Jews into a car. That person just said. 1 second here. So I kind of think this is going to keep going. I don't foresee this stopping anytime soon. It's hard to tell because the vehicle just flew out of the parking lot south from the federal building over there. I don't know if you saw that, but that was going real quick. There's a lot of people around. Oh yeah, so looks like a car went through people over here. Oh, he's trying to say he's not everyone who works in there works for ICE. So this is about now kind of what we started the stream. Earlier there was a rally on these rocks, conversation about what was going on. We then moved to the blockade over there where you saw some vehicles trying to move through the crowd. We looked back over here, it looked like a vehicle had just moved through this crowd, but now it's stuck there. This other soft block of human beings. And we'll see what happens from now.
We're going to join people at the end of the road. There are cars back there. Please use caution when walking behind these cars. We do not know if they will accelerate quickly in reverse. Please use caution. We are safer in numbers, and this is important.
I'm walking around without closing hands.
We're going to move the program over here.
So it looks like people are going to move this way. There was warnings given that vehicles. They're not sure what the vehicles will do. In this area, there has been a few cases where vehicles have gone through crowds of protesters, and also in Charlottesville, as we know, a white supremacist killed an anti-fascist protester by going through him. So there's that fear here as well in the history of vehicles trying to move through crowds. And so there's a word you can tell the speaker mentioned that to alert everybody. They don't really know. Like, these people, of course, are just making their own decisions in those vehicles. Earlier, we saw that woman trying to decide if the best thing in her interest was to drive through the people or to wait. I don't know exactly what their reasoning was for it, but that's what they're deciding over there.
People united will never be defeated.
All right, so we're going to keep moving.
People united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. Never again is now. 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 Never again is now.
Close the camps. I just want to look and see what's going on the other side. There's a lot of people over here. Even the organizers are like, so I'm going to walk again right in front of the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. You can see all these employees now leaving. It looks like maybe they found their route out that way because everyone's not going that way. And over here you have another blockade. It's much smaller. So I'm going to go check it out really quick. Or at least another soft block of the road. I want to see what's going on over there. So yeah, there's a bunch of people leaving there. Again, here's where we're at, Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. Some folks in the shade. So again, that's the big group of people. I'm gonna look at the small group of people really quick. Check out how that's going. Then I'm going to walk back over there. Again, this is Ideological Riot. We're here at a Never Again, Twin Cities Never Again action. Jews and immigrants have basically organized this protest and disruption of this ICE building in protest of the ongoing just issues along the border around human beings being in prison, mostly children. I think most people are focusing on that, but basically these concentration camps, what they're being called, where already human beings have died, multiple of them. There's a really great meme mentioning that people didn't all... Anyways, they're filthy from reports. People are dying in them. Here in Minneapolis and across the nation, Jewish communities have come together, and there's a movement called Never Again, referencing Never Again concentration camps. There's disrupted a lot of different federal buildings and so on. Here in Minnesota, we're seeing it outside this federal building. I'm going to walk over here. You can see there's actually a whole... So we have this blockade, or soft block, human beings in the road. Again, we did see drivers already trying to decide if they're in the best interest to drive through people. So we don't really know what will happen. Yeah, folks are like outside their vehicle now, just kind of waiting. So again, here we go. One Federal Drive. Yes, this is the other side. How's it going?
Good. There was about just the people you see along the cars that are lined up with a blockade here, which caused traffic from all directions here blocked. People can't get out of the Whipple building. There's nowhere, they can't turn around because the light was blocked down there too, so that's why people are just sitting here. They can't turn down that way. The marshals aren't directing traffic. They want people to be stuck right now. They want them to hear their message. And then the band just showed up with another dozen protesters, so that's where we're at right now.
All right, I'll move around. That's John Z here with Ideological Riot as well. If you're following us on a social media platform on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we got a Patreon as well. We're doing our best to post. We have a team out here on the ground as well. Thanks again for joining us on unicornride.ninja here at this Never Again in Twin Cities action protesting ICE. We have sheriffs here. So I'm gonna put the phone down for a second, adjust my shoelaces, and then we'll keep moving around. Again, this is if you're following along, this action has been going on for over 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Like I said, multiple points outside of this detention center.
When our neighbors are under attack, what do we do?
I can see there's more traffic being stopped over here. These vehicles are just parking. I just have to go this way. There's still vehicles in the facility as well. I'm going to move back to do the thing here. Entrances again. We're live here. We do have a team on the ground, kind of different spots. So we doing our best to kind of cover it. Again, there's multiple points of action here at this Never Again Twin Cities action organized by Jewish and immigrant communities here who are trying to disrupt this federal building, Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building, at One Federal Drive here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This protest ongoing ICE facilities. detentions along the border, children detentions in private prisons, the number and series of deaths that have occurred as well. And they're acquitted that what is going on to concentration camps, and that's why they're using never again to allow what happened. Here you go.
Those cops that you saw down there, they were not there until you just arrived.
Okay.
So they're probably starting to stage soon. I'm going to go check out the other entrances. But as you can see, that's why no one's leaving here, because they have this middle blockade and then another blockade down there. So they can't, like any of the building exits over here, they can't turn around and get out. So the people really want them to hear their message.
Yeah, thanks for that there. Again, it's John Z here with Unicorn Riot. This person's really upset. He's trying to keep them, he's walking back and forth. This is in the space in front of them. Again, arguments like this are happening along the whole blockade as people are sort of saying their point that, they may work in the building, they may, but they're not directly, but their goal is to stop the traffic in front of the building and let people know what's going on. So it's everyone here is affected. Everyone also is part of, the United States, part of the government, paying them taxes. They're being used to imprison children right now. So here we are.
And to be honest, some of the people, like this gentleman that's arguing with the protesters right here, his main point to the protesters is he doesn't even believe it's really happening. He asked the protesters, have you been to the border? One gentleman said no, and he said, well, see, you're seeing just the fake news from the media. And just so you guys know, Unicorn Riot was covering the situation at the border, and we plan to go back, hopefully at some point if we can, but we were there. It is not fake news.
Yeah, it's real.
What is happening down there?
Yeah, it's real. It's that's interesting. Again, if you've been following our coverage, again, we're here in front of this federal building. This is a Never Again Twin Cities action organized by Jewish and immigrant communities to bring attention to what ICE is doing to migrant communities, imprisoning children in private prisons. This gentleman here is saying that none of that's actually happening, that it's all this made up, which is interesting. We just came back from Iceland where we heard people make the same argument about climate change, and it was just, you're listening to the wrong news. So that's sort of like the situation, I would say, in the United States, breaking down to that argument.
Never again means never again. Close the camps now. Never again means never again.
Let's try to decide what. See if all these vehicles here. We're moving back to the other protest site. I'm going to go ahead and read the description of what's going on here again from the details page of their site. So again, you're watching this on Unicornriot.ninja. We are a non-for-profit media organization here in, the world. Currently, we're on the ground here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, following a Never Again Twin Cities Never Again action. The details page here, you can go, actually, if you're a Facebook user, you can see it on Facebook. Never Again is now, this is the details here. Never Again is now, close the camps, no más muertes, no more deaths. Join us on Tuesday, July 30th at 4 p.m. for a rally organized by Twin Cities Jewish and immigrant communities to oppose the unjust concentration camps and say enough is enough. We can't wait for the right time. We need to do this yesterday, and we need to do this together. Our cruel and racist immigration system impacts everyone living on this land, from the indigenous people who remember forced removal to those of us brought here as slaves without our consent, and those who were immigrants and refugees fleeing oppression. This action is primarily organized by young Jews in solidarity with immigration justice movements locally and nationally, because Never Again is now. So that's basically the details. They met like a blue line, like a train station over here, and sort of kind of coalesced in this park. Came over here and started a rally. You can see there's a chair there. Started a rally in front of the federal building. From that rally, groups broke off, and you can see there's a group over here we just walked from, blocked that point. A group over there is blocking that road, and then actually another group that's further down that road that blocked that road. So there's multiple groups. There's hundreds of people here. I'm not exactly sure how many. I've never been really great at counting people, crowds. So we're going to move back to the other point. Earlier, if you were here, you would have seen that vehicles have already tried to move through this crowd. There's been multiple arguments. The marshals were kind of telling everyone to remember to like the focus is de-escalation, asking everyone to de-escalate, and so that's basically. I think one vehicle did move through this crowd of folks, but besides that, it looks like everyone else has been stopped here, which I think is the goal again, to disrupt this federal building and let people know that they are concerned with what's going on along the border, and they are willing to come here and protest, hold space.
Our neighbors away. 400 or more souls. 200 of them, they're tucked far away in Sherburne County Jail. Sherburne County Jail in Elk River. And that jail is trying to get 300 more beds. They are trying, in the face of atrocity, they are trying to feed their own machine with the wealth of our immigrant neighbors. They are stealing, they are raping, and they must be stopped. So we see ourselves as just one front. This harm reduction effort, working with advocates for human rights and safe release programs and court watchers to get people out of cages. That's one front. This is another front. Mass action that doesn't sit still. So I hope y'all are ready to shut it down, because we are here. The Minnesota Freedom Fund is so grateful to be here. I'm grateful as fuck to be here. We need more of this. We need good trouble every day. Thank you.
Again, thanks everyone who's joining us on Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, and live stream.
Get involved to support the amazing work that Minnesota Freedom Fund is doing.
Thank you. So we need not just money. mnfreedomfund.org/donate. Please. The lowest bond we get for immigrants here is $1,500. That's more than any misdemeanor. That's more than most gross misdemeanors. So we need that money, and they try to take that money, and we have to fight them every step of the way to make sure ICE doesn't get to pocket it, and that it goes back to the immigrant community. So mnfreedomfund.org/donate, and we need people who can show up and are willing to pay these bonds without risk of deportation themselves, right? So we need people willing to navigate this white supremacist system to get our neighbors free. You can sign up to donate or to volunteer at mnfreedomfund.org. Thank you, never again. This means a fucking lot to me.
What better way to spend an afternoon than bailing people out of jail? Good times. All right.
All right, folks, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for keeping up the energy.
Again, thanks to everybody who's joining us. This is Lorenzo, your host. You're watching Unicorn Riot. Thank you to our Periscope viewers, Facebook viewers, YouTube viewers, and live stream viewers. Anybody else who's magically watching somewhere else. We're here in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. Inside this building, there are ICE courts and detention cells, the detention center. People have come out to basically protest what's going on along the border by targeting this federal building. Like, we don't know the federal building is actually federal property. They've come here to basically disrupt the exits, it looks like. I'm putting it together with you. It looks like they want to disrupt traffic. This road that comes out of the Federal Whipple building here actually comes out only onto this road that I'm standing on right now. And so it looks like they've go ahead and they set up blockades here, human blockades, along with some vehicles. I apologize, some vehicles here as well. Some blockades here, soft blockades, one there, and then another one kind of on the other side of the building. So there's actually 4 soft blockades going on right now. People are continuing to hold this space. We have seen a little bit of altercations as vehicles have tried to move through the folks who are gathered here. Besides that, people are holding their grounds. You hear people speaking.
Walking down the street, just being Jewish. It's a part of our story people don't usually know. At that time, she decided to leave her family and join the French resistance. Her family did not believe that they would be deported, and so they stayed. She left them behind. She joined the French resistance. And during the time she was gone, my grandparents, my aunts, and over 60 of my relatives were deported and killed. They were deported to Minsk, and that's where they died. The story my mother told me when she came to the United States, actually many years after the war, and she did not immigrate here legally. She immigrated on her French papers.
So you see, people are telling stories of what happened to their families as Hitler took power and they were targeted for being Jewish. Again, that is what the connection they're making, that people are being targeted for being migrants into this country by a specific organization that has the power to sort of try to shut 4th and 14th Amendment rights. And also they're identifying people by how they look. Already U.S. citizens have been put in prisons, private detention centers along the border, just based on ICE and Border Patrol people making just decisions, I suppose. I wasn't there, but they had papers. It didn't matter to them. This is already occurring right now here in the United States. People are trying to bring attention to it, along with the private facilities where people have died, children have died as well. Early in the beginning, you saw them make the connection between this place and Fort Snelling, which was a concentration camp for the Dakota people during the Dakota people, and they're bringing attention to that as well. So seeking asylum at the border is not a crime. Again, we were on the border. We spent time there. I know right now that the administration has a very, very concerted effort to attack sort of the asylum structure. That from my understanding is international. Internationally, people actually agree that people can seek asylum in any country they choose. The administration of this country has been systematically trying to change that and make new laws to make that the case, and also intervene in other countries to try to set up their policy as well through some dealings. And so right now, it's basically they're criminalizing more and more people who are trying to enter the border to seek asylum. They're not able to seek asylum, so they're coming over the border, and they used to be able to come over the border and just seek asylum with the first Border Patrol agent that they saw. Those laws have been changed. There's been more private facilities. Again, these private facilities that people are calling concentration camps, their workers are like contractors, and they aren't attached to the federal government or the government, so they're not overseen by them. Some people out there are going to argue that's probably good. People are going to argue it's bad, but they're not overseen by them. And already there have been many reports of sexual assaults, just violent attacks, and there isn't any sort of recourse, but this isn't built into their system of how they're monitoring those prison guards that are being hired as contracts by a private corporation whose profit model has to do with human beings in their cells. And so this has to do with human beings in their cells. And so that's what's going on right now, is that these, as the migrants are being put into these private prisons, those private prisons are charging the local governments or whatever government facilities have put into agreements with them and contracts with them to pay them, $750 for each bed that's filled by, quote unquote, this person who crossed the border illegally in the eyes of this, the government structure. So that's what's going on, is in these private prisons now have bed quotas with the local governments and local communities when they built them, saying that you're going to ensure that we keep these beds full at 75%, creating an incentive to imprison people. So right now there's incentives created by the United States government with private corporations to imprison people seeking refuge into the facilities and charge the local public $750 to imprison them. A lot of these people are children. Some of them have already died in these encampments that the folks here are constantly calling concentration camps. This has been ongoing for years. The attention to it has definitely increased in recent years, but the issues along the border, the treatment of immigrants in the United States, is sort of this accelerated to doom. It was already pretty doomy. Obama was called the deporter-in-chief. He was constantly deporting people, but that definitely has increased, but also the rhetoric being used by the administration has turned more and more violent, which also seems to have increased the experience of brown communities, black communities experiencing direct racism, and the rhetoric that's being echoed by the White House is being echoed by people on the streets as well. And so the on the ground, what it feels like in the United States has shifted definitely for the last 2 years. If you go to unicornriot.ninja, you can see that we were on the border right when Trump was entering office, interviewing migrants, interviewing United States citizens who happen to be brown, who happen to be United States citizens, saying that their experience already was the increase of racism, this sort of like direct racism in different parts of their life as they were walking through the streets. They felt that was increasing. Now we're here 2 years later. The rhetoric is much more just violent and vile. You're just hearing the sort of the same things continuing over and over again and continue to accelerate. And now people are trying to take the streets, trying to disrupt the system somewhat to try to make it shift away from creating more and more private prisons to imprison children and then charge the public $750 a pop for each of those human beings whose lives are being radically changed. You have to, formative life is entering these prison camps now for these children. Yeah, it's been ongoing now for like an hour. So. This is live, so it's like catch everything we say. It's a heads up. This all good. It's pointed that way. You work here, or do you work like?
I work downtown.
Downtown.
I work here.
Oh, cool. It's like a.
And more than happy to say, I'm totally cool with getting locked in here for a while. That means tearing down these camps.
Mm-hmm. And somebody, a bystander is saying that they're not able to drive back, but they're totally okay with it because if this is what it takes to tear down those camps, they're fine with having to spend some time here waiting to get home. Right?
No one coming and going on this train has an incentive to care about what happens, and that's just a sad reality. It doesn't mean they don't care, but they just don't have an incentive to care. So this is the way to do it.
Right on. Well, it's good to see you. Yeah. Thanks for that insight. I'm gonna try to keep doing this thing. I gotta find a battery. So you take care.
Yeah, man.
All right. All right. I'm gonna set the phone down for a second. We'll just kind of give it a wide on what's going on here for a second, and then we'll keep moving. Again, this is Unicorn Riot. We are live. This action is just ongoing. It isn't stopping. It doesn't look like. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna keep moving around. 1 second here. What's up? No, I'm good. Thanks for checking. Okay. All right, so we're gonna move. Oh, I'm just thinking. You can see there's horns going off over here. There's horns going off over here. I assume there's horns going off over there. People are still holding this space. This is Twin Cities Never Again. Jewish and immigrant communities organizing to come together in front of this federal building and protest ICE and the ongoing camps along the border, or just the ongoing camps in the United States. They're not just along the border. Different camps they're calling concentration camps, where human beings are dying. They're being put into facilities that are overcrowded. These folks are coming to the United States seeking from, I can't tell you. A bunch of different reasons people are coming here. Mostly from the Central America, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador right now, trying to move to that places. I can say that the climate in those areas is shifting, and it's becoming harder and harder just to survive by sustenance, or just survive by farmland, and people are just being forced to make decisions to try to better their life, and that's going to also continue. Like, as the climate continues to change, different areas are going to experience more and more just your ability to live the way you did before is going to change. Again, that climate change is being accelerated by humans. It's being accelerated by like the biggest economies like the United States, then the poorest economies, the poorest people are the people who experience it most directly first. This is one other thing that's going on. Again, there's many different reasons that what we're seeing is giant influx of human beings, but the thing that at least we can say is that this is going to continue to happen as all these things are just continue to happen. People don't want this situation to be treated in this way, the way this administration decided to treat it, to create like a further and further big crisis and kind of criminalize people as much as possible, and this sort of like, they say that's not, at least it shouldn't be done that way, and also causing a correlating fear between this and the overtake of Nazi Germany and the concentration camps that are created. Say that right now you have a certain community being targeted by a federal institution who is able to like go in, kick in doors, pull people out. They pull people out of a car. And they feel like it's just imitating what happened there as Jews were targeted. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. Okay, thanks for joining us. I am going to move to the other points. Finger in the view screen. Sorry, we're gonna move over here. All right, everybody. So I'm gonna move us by one of the blockades in front of the Bishop General Whippy Federal Building.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Free the children. Stop separating families. Free the children. All right, so that's one. Again, this is a parking lot right here. We're gonna move along the road as well to another soft blockade. I'm actually gonna move to the left side of the road here really quick. Again, thanks for joining us. This is Lorenzo with the Unicorn Riot. That's the blockade I just left. It's kind of right there. You can see a plane taking off over it. We're gonna move this way. So, from my understanding, this is going to go on for 2 hours, at least if we're going to follow the event details on the Facebook event page. It's Twin Cities Never Again. You can go there and probably see like the correlating different groups that kind of are hosting it together. Again, from that event page, it says that Jewish and immigrant communities organized this protest to come here and disrupt this building, at least workers in this building. The chanting from Palestine to Mexico, border walls have got to go. So we have this other blockade here. And we're going to move to this last one, at least this other one. Kind of take a look at that, and then we'll probably just move back. That's what we're doing today. Thanks a lot for joining us. We are live here. I got a sheriff now walking around. Like, probably gotta start.
They're trying to make a workaround. The cop told them to go this way up here to see if this works.
Hey, do you have a battery?
Yeah.
Do you have an extra one?
Yep.
Okay, so those sheriffs are out and kind of milling around. Thank you. So we got this sheriff here. It sounds like the sheriffs are trying to figure out where to send the traffic. Oh, I forgot a battery. I gotta plug it in. I just got one from.
You need me to hold it?
Oh, yeah, sure. try to send them down the bike path. It sounds like. That's what all these people are doing. Someone that's told to go get a job and got called a whore. Person that can predict who has a job by how they look at them.
You know what's funny is that, not funny,
It's flicking us off.
yeah, no, it's quite telling too. I saw 2 construction people go up to only women, a whole line of people, and they only went up to the women and started screaming.
Yeah, so that's what that guy did.
It's exactly what the MO of,
And just based on what person looks like.
based on what they look like. They do not have a job.
So it looks like traffic's trying to be rerouted. Let's see. ICE is cold-hearted. ICE is cold-hearted. Let's see that there. ICE is cold-hearted.
Immigrants are welcome here, no hate, no fear. 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 Immigrants are welcome here, no hate, no fear.
That person was stopped there about an hour ago on the other
No
side.
fear. Immigrants are welcome here, no hate, no
Who can we
fear.
interview?
Immigrants are welcome here, no hate, no
Yeah,
fear.
let's try to get some interviews. I feel like I'm just talking to her. We're gonna try to get some interviews again. Like, I don't want to walk up with somebody with a live camera. I'm using a kind of simpler gear than usual, and I just, want to give people space. Hello.
Hi there.
Did you want to talk about what's going on here today? Introduce yourself, maybe, if you want.
My name is Mark. Actually, can we start over?
Oh, it's live, so you gotta go.
Okay. Alright, well, in any case, it looks like we have a block of traffic around some kind of federal facility. There's immigration court and detention centers over here. So we're trying to discommode the people who are working there, doing jobs that they shouldn't be doing. I am here for a number of reasons. I'm an immigrant. I was born in Russia, and my family was on both sides of the Eastern Front in World War II. Many of my people were killed. Almost everybody, in fact. And I am concerned because what we're seeing here is the beginning of a no holds barred kind of situation. People are already dying. I was just reading an article the other day about a U.S. citizen who was detained for 23 days, and he lost 26 pounds during his detention. Can you imagine what it would take to lose 26 pounds in 23 days under conditions of filth? No wonder people are dying. And that, of course, is the goal. Now, I reject the notion that human movement can be blocked by self-appointed guardians of sovereignty. And I think that this is a good beginning for a movement of people for free movement and for justice.
It looks like people are moving behind you. Oh, they're blocking traffic here now. Were you? I guess the goal is just basically to disrupt what's going on here. This is to disrupt the ICE. The ICE courts, the detention center, and this is organized by Jews and immigrant communities here. Do you know? Or?
Yes, I am not one of the organizers. I know some of the organizers, and I know that the major organizing meeting occurred at the synagogue at which I work. and I'm very proud of my people who are finally starting to wake up to what's going on and pick a side.
Well, thanks for talking to us.
Children out of cages, and the deportation. Children out of cages.
So we got this person who's advocating for people to go through. It looks like people are moving over here to block this road. It sounded like the sheriffs are trying to turn traffic around down this road, and there's a bike path down here that people are trying to leave. And it looks like the Twin Cities Never Again action or organizers were able to see what was going on and reorganize themselves quickly. And now they're blocking traffic here. You can see there's like a conversation going on right in front between this gentleman who's been here for a little bit.
I really should.
And the deportation. Children out of cages. And the deportation. Children out of cages. And the deportation. Children out of cages.
So that was the sheriff who's trying to move people this way.
And the deportation. Children are in cages. 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 Children are in cages. Children are in cages. And the deportation. Children are in cages. And the deportation. Children are in cages. And the deportation. Children are in cages.
Block street. It'll take a while to get out.
Children are in cages.
What about this cage?
Children are in cages.
What about this cage?
People are saying they're in cages. The argument the person's making.
How about an answer? What about this cage? What about this cage right here?
And you have no job.
Oh, fight fire with fire, right? If somebody punches you, you're going to punch him back and you can take the high road. That's it.
So this this is live. So he basically is saying that this is a cage they're experiencing, but also it's important to notice that this is a 2-hour cage that they'll be able to leave. I think it's not really. It's just like a protest that's blocking the road, and their lives are going to continue. It's just 2 hours of inconvenience is what they're equating to people being in prison and camps along the border. That's what that person was saying. He told me I wouldn't put it on the internet. I just did because we're live. I don't know if he knows that. But yeah, so that's what he said. I don't know.
Children are in cages. And the deportation. Children are in cages. And the deportation.
Look at that car flying back right there.
Who's gonna reimburse me?
Swear, because that'll make me human.
I have 2 jobs.
Let me talk.
You don't understand.
No, I want to have a conversation. I'm trying to, but they're being really loud right now, so I'm going to have to speak above them and make sure the camera hears me so they don't know.
It's live. I don't know. He keeps saying that we're like gonna edit this. Yeah, this is live. So there's one conversation. People are here again, like to disrupt. I don't think.
Let's talk. This is the perfect time to talk. Got to go from Palestine to Mexico. This is why nobody takes you seriously. You're unwilling to have a civilized conversation.
I don't know. So it's like somebody. Again, these folks are chanting. Their goal is to hold this space and disrupt it. Not to engage with these people. They're just trying to disrupt it. They engage because they're gonna be in the street. They're gonna come out and talk to you. Folks are gonna talk to you. Anyways, but they're trying to have a conversation. These folks are trying to hold this space to just disrupt, to equate it to again, Jewish and immigrant communities who are organizing this Never Again action. Oh, 1 second. Let's kind of stay on. 1 second. We are here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in front of the ICE building. You can see this ongoing blockade. Interactions here between people who are upset that they're being not able to go home right now or hold this space.
They won't have a conversation. They just want to scream and chant and yell and not have a conversation.
So this person wanted everyone to know that he feels that everyone's just screaming and chanting. I was just saying that he says that everyone here is just screaming and chanting and doesn't want to have a conversation. Yeah. But they're here because they feel that this represents concentration camps along the border.
Well, as a Jew, I can weigh in on that if you want me to.
Well, there's multiple Jews here as well. You should probably all talk to each other.
The point of the whole situation here is that this doesn't do anything at all to further their cause. Inconveniencing people who have 2 or 3 jobs, in my case, keep me from doing those jobs, maybe even getting fired, doesn't really help me to feel, maybe what can I do to close the camps? First of all, the whole push for closing the camps is they've been fed lies what these camps actually are. People have been separated from their families because those kids were brought here illegally by their parents across the border, as opposed to, going into a port of entrance where they could put their kids as refugees. So that was the situation. That wasn't what happened. They brought their kids, they broke the law, they had their kids with them. If I were drunk in my car with my kid driving on the highway, I was pulled over by the cops. As that guy.
Well, they weren't drunk. They walked.
I know. I'm getting If I were committing a crime and I have my kid would be in the car.
But you could not imagine feeling as though you had to leave a place you were to seek freedom and put risk.
I feel so comfortable telling me what I can feel.
I don't know. I don't know if you could feel that. I asked you. You can't see that. You can't feel any empathy for that. You're just saying it's illegal.
I have empathy for it. What I'm saying is it's illegal because they're not going to the proper channels. I have no problem with immigration at all. Go through the proper channels. It seems to be. I know that there's a process and it's a lengthy process and it's not a perfect process, but it has to be a nuance here. There has to be an understanding of nuance. Otherwise, all you're doing is yelling Nazi, KKK, fascist crap. It doesn't help their case at all. They're just labeling what they don't agree with to partition it so that they can simply ignore it when it's coming from people they don't like. It's the truth is the truth is the truth. I know there are layers to it.
Yeah. Well, you said there's nuance to it, correct?
Right. But they can't just. This isn't how you get your. Sorry, it's not. Yeah, I know. You get exposure, just like the BLM people got exposure from blocking the highway, but it didn't help their cause. People are more in tune with the BLM because of that. I think all lives matter. I don't think I have to explain why that's a innocuous statement. And people who get triggered by that are crazy. Now, similarly, I think this is crazy. Again,
this is live too. Like I can't edit it, so
that's fine.
Yeah, just let you know.
They can't. You can't do anything positive for their cause by inconveniencing thousands of people. It doesn't come off well. You're getting exposure. There is such a thing as negative press. Not everything is good. So.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for letting me know how you feel. Hi. Yeah, I need all the interviews.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So that was this person's point of view, saying that how they felt, and I guess you want to talk about why.
I didn't catch what they said.
Oh, they thought this was all pretty ridiculous, and they didn't understand why people would be disrupting people's lives who aren't like directly involved, and that's basically it. So the same. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, I have heard that before, and honestly, it's just ultimately what it comes down to for me is that these are really dire stakes for the people who are in immigrant detention centers, and I think that we need to, rise to the level of how serious this is for those people, which is their lives.
And what would you say? I mean, to you, what is happening here right now? Like, can you just tell us right now where we are?
What we're doing right now is disrupting business as usual, right? Right inside this building is where ICE holds detention court, and so essentially this is where people come before they are deported. And so we as Jews need to stand up and say, look, we're not going to let you just operate business as usual. We're going to disrupt, and we're calling upon everybody. If you're not directly connected, if you're not acting it out, then you need to be part of the people who stop it.
And I guess this is Twin Cities Never Again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you talk about what's going on with that a little bit?
Yeah.
We're going to move over. Okay, there we go.
We're a coalition of individuals, and we're in partnership with people who are on the front line work of immigration justice. And so we've come together primarily as Jews, but as allies, as immigrant rights workers, knowing that none of those groups are exclusive, right? There's lots of overlap. To say the lesson of the Holocaust was to never again let that kind of dehumanization happen. And so as Jews, we need to call for a closure of the camps now. We need to call for defunding ICE now. And we need to provide permanent protection and dignity to all immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers.
Thank you. Did you give your name? Did you want to give your name?
Oh, I can give my name. Yeah, my name's Leah Soul, and I'm organizer of this action.
Thank you
so much.
Yeah.
No? Might just be a hiccup on their end.
Well, that's like the first interview I got, so that's horrible.
Let us know if audio's good, Jen.
Hi, do you want to talk about why you're here? Or?
Yeah, and then go through the whole story too.
Yeah, take your time.
Hi. Okay, so my name is Mixie. I'm an artist. I grew up here in Minnesota. I am also an immigrant. I was adopted from Colombia, so I'm here legally, as they would say it. My husband, he was fleeing the Liberian Civil War when he was about 3 years old. He came here when he was 3. His artist name is Soda, and that he calls Minnesota his home. We have 3 young children. I just had a baby. She's 6 months old. My husband was taken about 2 months ago by ICE.
Can we move over here? Because there's a lot of yelling conversation right there. So.
I just looked it up.
So I'm sorry about that.
Very loud.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you want to come this way, I'd like to.
What? Oh, it's hard to hear. Yeah, I just moved. All right. I'm sorry.
So yeah, we have 3 kids. We're actively involved in the Minnesota music scene. I'm very appreciative of everybody here today, the Jewish community. I'm appreciative of every one of our communities that have supported us this far. We've raised a lot of money on our GoFundMe. I've been able to organize over, I'd say probably like 10 events in the past 2 months with some great musicians. And so it's really touching my heart to see all these people and power in numbers, power to the people all day. We can do anything with love. There's a shift of consciousness right now going on, and it's like an infinity sign. So we're like on the rise, but we have to crash in the X. So I'm hopeful because I know that love will win, but also right now.
There's cars moving behind us. Yeah. There was a car moving behind us, and was like worried that the car would try to move through the people. And see this person could be this way.
But yeah, like I was saying, I believe that love and in community, we're going to accomplish a lot. We need more bodies, more physical bodies. If you're physically able to come out, use your privilege, whatever it is. If it's white privilege, that's even better because they hear you. They hear the white men speaking. They hear those voices first and foremost. Contact your Congress people. Contact whoever you can that knows somebody, even your neighbor, anybody. Anybody's support is valuable. Anybody's love. Hashtag free soda. Follow us. Follow my family. Hashtag free soda. Free the kids. Never again is right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Could you?
That was another interview we just got. We spoke to somebody who was very unhappy about this ongoing event. We've also spoken to people who have helped organize this event. We also spoke to a participant here. So we have a little bit of a cross section. Let me think here for a second before I decide what to do. There's a helicopter, a news helicopter over our head right now as well. I think I might move that way and try to interview some people at that sort of blockade. Right here, you kind of have this cup of cars. I don't know why I called it a cup of cars, but that's what's going on right there. There used to be vehicles here. I think they turned them around. And from what I overheard the police officer saying, there's a bike path somewhere over here that they led the vehicles down. And now, before these vehicles were able to move this way, the humans moved and so now are blocking this road. Oh yeah. Again, this is the Renzo Unicorn Riot. We're here live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in front of the federal building here where there's an ICE court, ICE detention center. Again, if you don't know who we are a nonprofit media organization. We do this all for, I guess we don't just commercialize it. We don't sell any of this stuff you're seeing. We do take donations. If you want to support our work, go to unicornriot.ninja. Donate what you can. Become a recurring donor. You're like what makes this possible. Again, we're not going to run any commercials, anything like that. This will be uninterrupted. We are live right now on the ground, and that's only possible by your support. So just wanted to drop that in there. And big thank you to everyone who's been donating. Big thank you to all our patrons. That page is growing. Just big thank you to everyone who's given us what they can. We're going to keep this on the ground work and try to keep bringing it to places. Again, one of the people we were talking to earlier was talking about the border and how we didn't know what was going on. We actually spent a month in the border, I think last September. You can go back to our coverage and try to find that. We had a lot of live streams. We talked to people about why they were coming, why they were fleeing their areas, what they were afraid of. And so I've experienced that firsthand. And I don't think anybody really wanted to be doing what they're doing, what they felt they needed to. That's all I'll say about that. I can go on further about his asylum claims. This international law is that humans were able to apply for asylum. United States law, humans were able to cross the border when they met a border guard, apply for asylum. That's been criminalized now. What they're referring to is that by the laws, the action of crossing the border, like going through a port of entry, can be considered illegal. Before, if you did that and then applied for asylum, it was fine because that was like part of the process that was in the books. All those processes are being changed right now, very much for just not allowing anyone to come into the United States anymore, predominantly from like this South or the Latin American countries, Central America, I'm not sure, countries. People of color, indigenous people of those lands seem to be being targeted right now, not only with these laws, but also the language of the administration, who continues to sort of like paint them in these negative lights. That has also, if you listen to the different speeches he gives in front of places in the calling responses as they happen, like obviously it's affecting the people who follow this sort of logic. So I don't know, that's kind of what's going on. There's a lot of stuff. Really a long conversation, hard to sum up. Do you know anybody who want to be just interviewed about what's going on right now?
Anybody on the line there?
Does anybody want to talk about why they're here?
I think we're supposed to thank these media people.
Okay, where are they? Okay.
Thank you so much. Let me do a once over. I think he's going to ask me. I just want to.
Okay. We're all here together.
So right there.
There's real obvious reasons we're here to disrupt.
Do you want to talk about why you're here, what's going on?
Or putting lives at stake.
I'm here because what ICE is doing, what the U.S. government is doing with the deportation machine, it's an atrocity. They're terrorizing communities, they're tearing people from their homes, they're throwing people in camps for years. It's a terrible atrocity, and I can't let it happen anymore. We're here because this is the courthouse where people are sentenced
talk to them about why you're
detention
here, why
camps.
it's important that we're here together,
what
what brings you here, and what gives you courage to stand here as we go forward in this fight. So take a few minutes and we'll be back with some chants. I also encourage you in those minutes to really charge up those batteries. I've heard of earthers who like to take off their shoes and touch the ground with their feet to get the energy from the earth. You don't have to do that, but charge up your batteries. We'll be back in like 2 minutes.
So can you talk about like never again, like Jews against ICE? Like what does this all mean together? Like,
what does this all mean together? Okay, well, I consider myself to be commanded by Jewish history and Jewish scripture to take a stand when I see injustice in the world, when I see atrocities like what's happening here.
And like in the details, it says that like the Jewish community that organized this event equates the ICE camps with concentration camps.
They are. They're concentration camps. They're detention centers. Call them whatever you want, but they're places where people are kept in subhuman conditions. People aren't treated with dignity. They aren't treated with humanity. They're treated as animals.
And you just shut them down, is basically the message?
The message is that we want Congress to take a stand to defund ICE and give permanent protection to all of the people detained in the camps.
Is there anything else you want to add? Or?
No.
Thank you. And you're going to keep holding this line for a while?
Yeah, we are.
All right, wonderful.
We're here. We're not going anywhere.
All right, thank you so much for talking to us. All right, so that's another person who's holding this line. He says that according to like his Jewish teachings, that it's upon him to come in and disrupt when he sees an atrocity like what is occurring. We're gonna move back. We're gonna back up, walking backwards. Look at this. Walking away. You can see a satellite truck now. The other gentleman said this was not the way for people to bring attention to their cause. And then I pointed at the helicopter overhead. And he said that was just not the right attention. So I don't know. That's what he said. We're going to keep trying to find interviews. We haven't talked to anyone on the other blockade. So we're going to go all the way to the other blockade. And, will it take me to wherever? Now we're just trying to find interviews now. Again, this is ongoing. They've shut down this road. There's been different sort of back and forths, people upset, people happy. Again, but this is all connected to the Twin Cities Never Again. These actions like this have been going on by different Jewish communities in different cities across like international borders, from my understanding, around different issues. This is the Twin Cities where this action is now happening, and there's hundreds of people here. That conversation is still ongoing. We're gonna try to get back over there, but we're gonna do one more interview, really quick.
Where's best?
Right here is good. We'll just... Right, yeah. What's going on?
So, yeah.
Sorry, did you want to talk about what you're here and like what's going on and?
Sure. Yeah. So there's a protest here, obviously, to stop daily activity, to stop business as usual outside the Henry Whipple Federal Building, which is an immigration building. I'm here personally. I'm Japanese American. My family was in American concentration camps in Minidoka and in Tule Lake. In the last century. So it feels very personal. Never again means never again for everyone. We need to be talking about ending mass incarceration in all of its forms, for immigrants, for people born in the U.S., for African Americans, for everybody. We need to be ending mass incarceration. There's concentration camps on our border right now, and it's not okay. It's never okay. It's never been okay. There's kids in those camps, kids in cages, and we want to get them out. So that's why we're here.
And can you talk about the history, a tiny bit of the history of the Japanese internment camps, people who might not know?
Yeah, for sure. In 1942, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed Executive Order, I believe it was 1099, but it incarcerated all people of Japanese ancestry and evacuated them from the West Coast and put them in U.S. concentration camps in the interior. And a lot of people were swept up in that. It was, also a economic exercise of stripping people of lands and property that they had acquired in the U.S. The older generation was never able to become citizens simply because of their country of origin, which is really similar to some of the things that people are seeing nowadays, in that barriers to becoming a citizen or becoming a legal permanent resident are really extreme, in that you might have to wait 10, 20, 30 years to actually have legal status in this country, whether you're here or not. And so there's definitely like parallels to this thing that's happened in our community, that's happening now in lots of migrant communities. And there's similarly exercise of mass incarceration, moving people for the purposes of economic exploitation as well. In that, we see like there's BC people being used in prison labor today. We saw Japanese Americans back then being used for farm work. And in general, just like benefiting the economic interests of empire. And in the same ways that we see like people nowadays being extracted from their home countries to come here to the U.S. to work, and then not being able to get status or have stability. So that's a little bit about.
All right, thank you. Great. Is there anything else I missed? I feel like about anything else. It's so there's a Japanese internment camps. There's also like a German internment camps in the United States, right? And then there was also
actually I don't know about those.
Yeah, so they're the same concept. They're criminalized people. And then there's also Native American boarding schools right there. So this is kind of like the history.
This is a history. This is like a century of camps. This is a century of lots of different communities being put in camps and having their things taken from them, having their liberty taken from them, and having their lives taken from them. People are dying in the camps now. People were dying in the camps back then. Even when it was not like mass extermination, people are still dying of disease, of medical maltreatment. Especially trans and queer people are dying in ICE custody. And yeah, this is what we see in a fascist country, and we know that it's just a matter of like who is dependent on what's politically expedient. But today we're here to say no more. We don't want to see this happen to anybody. Not now, not never.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for talking to me. What was your name one more time? Susan. Okay. Yeah. So that was Susan we just spoke to. Talking a little bit about the history of camps in the United States. They're saying they're from the Japanese community. Their family had been in a Japanese internment camp. Also, if you've been following this, survivors of Japanese internment camps marched on ICE detention centers in Texas. So that's already like that group of people has already started coming together, and now you have another group of people who's experienced that sort of prosecution of being targeted for their identities. And again, when I say that, I understand that United States citizens have already been in these ICE detention centers who just looked like maybe they were from somewhere else, even though they had papers. Somehow they still ended in these facilities. It's all up on there on the interwebs. And again, we did spend time along the border, covering sort of around the election cycle when there was a big uptick. The migrant caravan was all over in the news. We were there in Tijuana and witnessed some of that, and also witnessed the shifting of laws along the border, criminalizing people trying to come up further and making it harder and harder for them to apply for asylum, slowing down the courts along the border, the ports along the border, and then the increase in what was being called illegal migration as people were moving over the border. Outside of the ports of entry. Again, it was legal for someone to do that and go up to a Border Patrol agent and claim asylum. That was in the books. That also doesn't change. So everyone's just chilling right now. I mean, that's much information. I was just kind of just letting you know. I'm going to wait here a second. Space is still being held at all these different points that we've shown you multiple times now. We're going to go back to this blockade here, where earlier there were vehicles trying to move through the human beings who were stopping traffic in front of this federal building in protest of the camps along the border. Want to say hi? Hey there, you lovely unicorns. Thanks. See ya. He was playing drums at the other intersection. Free the children. As they take the sidewalk. Arms around. Just out. I'm gonna try to see if we can get interviews over here. Alright, let's see here. I'm checking. I'm gonna check some batteries and some stuff. Thanks so much for bearing with us again. This is Lorenzo with Unicorn Riot. You're watching live here in Minnesota as we follow this Never Again Twin Cities action that's disrupting this ICE facility where there is courts and a detention center.
We're all serving our country, sir. Amen. Yeah, he's such a great patriot, leaving children in detention. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage.
Just bear with us 1 second here, trying to get a few more interviews.
No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage. Show your grief. Show your rage. No one should be in a cage.
How are we over here?
Show your rage. No one should
Alright, so wait, so like to get some interviews for us with like organizers and people here who are like in the street, you know, putting their bodies on the road. This vehicle's still here. I was trying really hard to get through for a little bit.
With their grief and rage. I'm going to come back and say, we are here today to say never.
Doesn't matter,
again
anybody
for
wants to talk.
anybody. And we say this
I just don't want to walk up to
Jewish
somebody with a
community
camera.
is made up of many experiences.
So I'm getting some help
The
getting
Jewish
interviews.
communities and immigrant communities are deeply connected. We all carry with us experiences of expulsion, displacement, and genocide from around the world in the past and present. And also, we all carry with us histories of violence, of white supremacy, of settler colonialism. We are here on stolen land today. That is right. So in each way we all are complicit. And to sit with that discomfort is part of the work that we're here to do today. As well as honoring our stories of those who immigrated to the U.S. generations ago, the stories of the people facing the violence of the cruel immigration system today. And we're all here together because our liberation is bound up with each other. No one is free until we all are free.
This is Immigrant. You can be in our
Yeah. You want to talk about why you're here?
Yeah, which network you with?
I'm with Unicorn Riot.
Okay, terrific, yeah.
So this space, where should we go here? Where we can we walk over here in the middle of the road? All right, so we got an interview. What was your name?
Imogen.
Imogen. Hey, Imogen. I'm Lorenzo. I'll do this little handshake here. If you want to just tell us, like right now we got all these people on the road. I mean, like what's going on right now?
Well, Jews and immigrants and our allies have collected here because here at the Whipple building is where a lot of folks come for their final detention hearings and deportation hearings. And we're here to say never again. Our history teaches us that when ordinary people stand by and hope for the best, we go down a very dark road. And so we are here with our bodies, taking a risk to say never again, not on our watch. This cannot happen. We have to close the camps because never again means never again for anybody, and it's now.
And what do you want people who are watching this right now? Like, what do you want them to do? Like, what do you hope they take away from this risk? Like, I've seen vehicles try to push through people. What would you want them to take away?
We need everyone to understand that we cannot stand silently by, and that the public has to make its voice heard and demand that this administration abolish ICE and close the camps. We have to make that demand of Congress, of the White House, and of our local administrations and of governments as well.
And then, how long is this going to go on for? I feel like people have been here for hours.
We have, and we don't quite know. I can't actually speak to that.
And is this connected to the other Never Again actions across the country, or?
Yes, we have been coordinating as Jews across the country. This is part of a mass movement of Jews and immigrants and allies, and this is actually 1 month from the first Never Again action when 36 Jews in New Jersey took arrest.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you.
Great. So that's it was Imogen telling us why people are here. This is the 1 month anniversary of when Never Again 36 people were arrested. I mean, people want to keep talking. I mean, I kind of... Sure, yeah. We'll wait a second. Let's go through. Let's go ahead and we'll do a recap from the start. From the get-go. Okay, so what time is it now? Well, how long have we been here? Again, this is Lorenzo. I am your host. We've been live for 2 hours now, or at least an hour and 15 minutes. I'm walking away from here. If you've been watching for a while, you know they're talking about holding this space. I want to tell you a little bit of how this all started. We arrived. There's probably a couple hundred people in the field right over here, not on the road yet, just gathering. They marched out to this area where you can, right at the entrance, you can see a vehicle here. There's some blocks. They had a rally there. That rally broke off into tiny little parts. A few hundred people stayed there, and then everyone moved. You can see there's the people in the intersection here. We were just at this intersection where there's a lot of folks. And then on the other side, there's a lot of people, and as well as right here. Those people have been holding that space now for at least about 2 hours, disrupting basically everybody who's trying to leave this building, and also other folks. As you heard, we had interviewed somebody who was saying they didn't have anything to do with this, and they're upset. We also interviewed somebody else sort of saying why they were doing this. But people are doing this, from what we understand, because they feel that ICE, which has a court in here and detention centers, is running concentration camps along the border. If you go to the details of the event, it's organized by Never Again, which is, as we heard this earlier interview, the Jewish communities and immigrant communities organizing together internationally a movement of Never Again, saying never again will there be concentration camps. Some of the speakers talking about how people are being targeted for how they look. Again, we've already seen people go into these ICE detention centers who are U.S. citizens with paperwork, and it didn't matter, they were still put in there. So people are bringing attention to this and saying that it's pretty bad. It feels bad. Seems like it feels bad. Anyway, so that's kind of what's been going on since the get-go. A nice little conversation here. I'll let him keep going. Again, I'm Lorenzo. I am your host right now. We have a couple other people on the ground. Thanks to everyone on Periscope who is watching. Thank you so much on there. Make sure you hit follow, like, all that stuff if you want to get notifications when we are live. We're continually upgrading our equipment, trying to bring you more and more places to see what's going on with your own eyes. We're going to continue that work. We do that with your support. So thank you to everyone who's donated to allow us to keep doing this work right now here. Again, we're in Minneapolis. I'm moving to the other... Actually, I walked away from I thinking, no, I'm going to move to the other one. I'm moving to this other entrance over here. Again, you can see here's the federal building. For the longest time, there's two people on top. Looks like they're gone now. Wait 1 second here. We're going to keep moving. Yeah, so this is an ongoing. We're gonna move this way. Hello. Okay. All right, so you got a sheriff moving with what looks like a marshal over here. I'm not sure if that's a sheriff. It's too far away. So it looks like there's like communications between marshals and a sheriff. Someone's yelling, make them leave. Tell them to go home from their car. Person's saying they've been here since 4:20. Again, it's almost been 2 hours since it started. We've heard all the different we've heard a lot of different reasons why people are here, why they're doing this. So I'm just gonna like watch this go down for a second. I'm not gonna go over there. You can see here's the sheriff speaking with different organizers, marshals. Alright, I think there's time, I'm not sure what's going on. But... So the marshals are there communicating with the police, or the sheriff. Oh, some of the marshals. You got this line of folks. This line of folks.
No more racist here. Immigrants are welcome here. No more racist here. Immigrants are welcome here. So the next time somebody breaks in your house,
Okay, I still having conversations. Here's this build up. Here, it's standing up in response to be louder.
Yeah.
cage full of babies. I don't know if you have. It's like a Uncle Sam in the cage full of babies. Again, you're watching this on Unicorn Riot. Thanks a lot to all of our viewers on Periscope. What's up, Periscope viewers? YouTube, Facebook, and live stream. If you do enjoy this sort of on-the-ground coverage, please click like, click subscribe, share this. Again, we're a non-commercial media organization. None of this is commercialized. We don't sell any of our footage. We just provide it for free under a Creative Commons license to the internet. So feel free to share it away. Non-for-profit. And if you do want to support our donor-based organization, please go to unicornriot.org and click support our work. Give what you can.
Oh, we sound good. Ozi, Vezimradia.
So that's what's going on at this entrance. Still singing. Alright, so we're gonna move back. Again, there's multiple different blockades going on. Different people kind of held up in their cars. You can see folks. All of this, like I said, the marshals are communicating with the sheriff. Still going on.
United will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
I'm not exactly sure what happened. The sheriff really moved quickly and said right down there, right down there. His lights are on. Might be something else. I'm not sure. I'm just moving to the different entrances. Just like you, I don't know exactly what's going on. The sheriff vehicle's over here, moving quickly. The sheriff is here. So the sheriff, this vehicle.
Where's the guy that got his foot hit?
So this person's talking about there's cars surrounded. I don't know what happened before I got here. This police officer took off really quickly to get here. Somebody's saying that their foot was run over. He wants to know everyone else's name. I don't know exactly what happened. I got here after whatever occurred. And so I'm not going to crowd into the car. Well, you can see people are with...
So is there anything you want to say on the way here with the press? Yeah, the kids want to go home too. It's all about going home.
He's on his way to pick up his fourth Mercedes this month, and he's very frustrated.
The point is always to that. And I said, I just want to know, how's your car? What is this car? Like, it's really cool. It's a really cool car. I want to learn about it.
Came from Maplewood, apparently.
So you have like some sheriffs, some press. Folks are standing in front of the vehicle. From my understanding, this vehicle tried to move to the crowd and move to the crowd.
It allegedly ran over one of the protesters' feet. By the time I got up here, that had already happened, but then he continued to try to push through the crowd that was standing there. Like you see them with their hands locked, so they then did put their hands on the hood to try to get him to stop. At no point were they attacking like the gentleman is saying. The officer was very, it took a while to get him to stop his car. He kept going forward as the officer arrived. She had to tell him multiple times, stop the car, put it in park, or get out right now. She was going to arrest the guy in the car because he was still trying to run through. He finally turned the car off. He turned it back on just now, and that's what she's talking to him about right here.
Okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, that's John Z, who's on our crew here on the ground. Tell us what he heard. Again, we weren't. I don't think any of us were actually here when this. Or Nico might have been. Were you here? I think Nico might have saw what happened. So we'll try to get. So did you see what occurred at all?
He drove through this man in Mercedes Benz. Must have just got off the parking ride, went off the light rail to get his car. Drove through this crowd right here. You see the crowd. There's some medical people now that are out here to see if everybody was okay. He sort of stopped right here. There was a continual people rushed over and we were trying to block the way. Then he was just telling the police what is the police gonna do, and like almost like in a threatening way, but like also he wanted the police to do something, and then the police told him to just stay put and that they will arrest him and take him into custody if he doesn't stay put.
Okay.
So that's what happened.
So all right. Checking my battery again. That was Nico. We have John Z and Nico here on the ground. We have Jen on the back end, right in the back end there. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing. There's multiple people right now bringing this out to you live. We are a horizontally organized media organization, so we're working in a horizontal manner here. That's why you see us moving so freely back and forth and checking in with each other. We have no bosses here at Unicorn Riot, and thanks a lot for the support to allow us to do and run this ongoing project. We're going to keep staying live here as long as we can. I think we are almost... Where are we? I think it's over 2 hours for sure. We're going to stay here for a little bit. As you heard, this vehicle did move through a line of protesters from Twin Cities Never Again, Jewish and immigrant communities are in front of the ICE facilities here to bring attention to what they're calling concentration camps. Very clearly calling concentration camps where humans are losing their lives due to filthy environments, through the filthy facilities, and this is what they say is the beginning of increasing, and they have to stop it right now. So Never Again. Here we are. And then again, this is the 1 month anniversary since the first, I think it was 33 people were arrested Never Again in New Jersey at an ICE facility. And that was the information I got. I apologize. I think the number slipped out of my brain there. That's what happens. We are live. This is all unscripted. I am just going along with just showing you what I'm hearing and just letting you know. Again, this has been going on for 2 hours and people don't really seem like they're going anywhere. So if you're wondering about that. The sheriff is moving back. It looks like there's not a lot of police. Most of them are trying to keep sort of like the people from running over the protesters in the vehicles, because the vehicles are getting more uneasy and so they want to leave. And they're very standoffish. None of the police have made any moves to clear the roadways. They're letting people continue to hold their space. This Twin Cities Never Again action between a group of Jewish and immigrant communities organizing together to come out in front of the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building to disrupt ICE. This is ICE over here. The detention centers and court in there. We're gonna move over here again. We're just gonna be moving back and forth between all these different sort of points where people are holding space to try to disrupt this building. You can see people are stuck in the building, people are stuck in this road. Folks are not happy in these vehicles. Some of them actually also did tell us they're fine with what was going on. So again, mixture. Earlier we spoke to somebody who's very against what's going on right now, but did say there's a lot of nuance, and again, nuance. That person also said they were from the Jewish community. And so there you go. Never a clear line, but this is organized by members of the Jewish community and the immigrant community. They came out here saying never again. Never again means never again. You can see on this side, we're moving up closer. And yeah, they want to abolish ICE, shut down the concentration camps. I'm going to go read this sign over here. Hello. Is it okay if I just read this out loud, or do you want to?
Yeah.
And what is this from?
This is one of the children in one of the camps in Texas. This is a quote.
Okay, so it says, "We are in a metal cage with 20 other teenagers with babies and young children. We have one mat we need to share with each other. It is very cold. We each have got a Mylar blanket, but it is not enough to warm up. There are benches, but we cannot sleep. There are sometimes it is so crowded we cannot find a place to sleep. So they allow a few of us to sleep outside of the fenced area. The lights are on all the time. Girl, age 16. Thank you." And so that, you can say that's a 16-year-old girl who's in an overcrowded detention center. I have been in overcrowded jails before where people couldn't sleep. I was not a child, I guess, but I can tell you that is not a good experience. And that was just New York City, the Tombs, hundreds of people in a room where there's not supposed to be hundreds of people. You walk in and there's people who are standing up because they have to while other people sleep, and sort of like people are trying to take turns. It's really uncomfortable. I can't imagine, being a child and going through that. I was just a journalist covering an ongoing event, was swept up into that. But that is what police looks like. The detention center in New York City looks like, where it's overcrowded. And now we have these private facilities that are overcrowded, and saying that, yeah, they can't. There's no room for them to sleep. I know what that's like. I mean, they're not lying. Like that's real. They shove a lot of people into those cells, holding cells. So it might not seem real, but like, yeah. A bunch of people in a cell, people have to stand, so others can lay down and sleep. That's.
I'm just gonna start singing, okay, here we go. Here's what's gonna go on. We're gonna sing Lo Yisa Goy El Goy Harev, and if you don't know the words, this is what you do. You go. Let's get that going. how do people feel about bumping the groove? Hell yes! Thank you, thank you! Thank you, thank you! We're ready! We coming! We're ready!
So our film is, he looks like he keeps singing. And so I wanted to give you what that's like. There's more sheriffs along this road here. And there's something going on. I'm not sure, but it doesn't look like they're going to be coming anywhere near here.
Looks like this is what the Jewish resistance looks like. Thank you.
All right, everybody, this is Lorenzo still of Unicorn Riot. Thanks so much for everyone who's sticking with us. We're going to keep moving back and forth between the different points. Again, please hit that like, follow, subscribe, so on and so forth. We do not commercialize any of this content. We do not spend money on commercials. The only way people know we exist is by your liking and sharing, so please do that. Hit notifications, whatever feels good. And yeah, we are, if you're just meeting us, we're a not-for-profit, horizontally organized media organization. And we are live right now in Minneapolis, Minnesota, following a Never Again in Twin Cities action here in front of the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. Groups from Jewish and immigrant community here are in the local area. I'm not exactly sure of all the different places they may have come, have organized to be part of the Never Again movement that started, according to the folks here, about a month ago, or was a part of it a month ago. I think it was 23 or 33 Jewish folks were arrested in New Jersey, disrupting ICE facilities. Now folks are disrupting ICE facilities here. They've also been disrupting ICE facilities across the country. And so this is ongoing organizing, as they call it, an ongoing building movement of Jewish and immigrant communities coming together to bring attention to what they say are concentration camps along the border, private detention facilities where children are locked up, including adults as well. And they are just bringing attention to the ongoing this camps that are being run by private institutions that are for-profit corporations that are running jails that charge the public $750 for each child that they are putting in their facilities, which, if you're hearing the reports from these facilities from a lot of different places, are super filthy. The people who are contracted to be prison guards are not super vetted. They do not have the same sort of system over them to, and if they do wrong, they will be righted. From my understanding, that there is no ramifications for different things they may do against some of these children and different human beings who are put into these facilities. And yeah, they're private institutions that are entering into contracts with the local governments to charge them for putting the people into their beds, and also making sort of limits of how many people can be in, or not limits, but mandatory, we have to keep this many people in the beds or we'll fine you. And so these contracts are super in favor of the private prisons, which are monetizing human beings, the most sort of impacted human beings in the world, indigenous children from devastated economies in Central America that are trying to come here with their families for a better life, are being used as little piggy banks by private corporations and put into jails. And then also the rhetoric of the United States has nothing to do with human beings, but just sort of wrong and, I don't know, right and wrong, without taking into account what's happening to the children who are entering into these facilities, and their lives are being constructed by that experience for the rest of it. I don't know. Something like that. It's ongoing. We spoke to somebody earlier saying they're here because their family has descendants from Japanese internment camps. So we have the Jewish community. We had speakers talking about their experience, their family's experience during World War II, during the reign of Hitler, the Nazis here. And saying that it's similar to what's going on with migrant communities here, who, in Minneapolis, we had ICE officials break out windows, drag people out as they arrested them. They've also, you've seen on, this. It's basically the groups of people who are allowed to harass somebody based on how they look now. That used to be not a thing you could do, but now United States citizens, regardless of what they look like, should be able to travel the United States according to the Constitution unharassed. It's in the thing they wrote they really love. And now they're creating federal sort of police forces that can intervene with people based on how they look to start asking them questions. That is legal. I mean, you're supposed to be able to travel the United States freely, and now that they're doing this, these people can stop you based on what, a variety of criteria they're creating and start asking you questions. You have the right for that not to happen in the United States. That was an idea of the United States, which seems to be not important, or at least shifting now as they create this sort of like ongoing crisis on the border. It's in the it's like the 14th. I'm gonna look it up. Yeah, just get into it now. A lot of time's passed. Anyway, this idea is to travel the country. That's why you see all those videos of people who challenge these different ports of created sort of blockades by police and federal law enforcement agencies, because you're supposed to be able to travel the country freely. If you're following us during if we were at Standing Rock, they created a blockade. And you look at we made a 2-hour film. One of the scenes, there's somebody saying, like, why are you inhibiting my travel in why are military personnel inhibiting my travel in the United States? And they said this isn't a blockade, it's a checkpoint, because they can't say it's a blockade because that would be illegal. It would be illegal according to the Constitution. It would inhibit travel of United States citizens to move freely across the country from state to state and so on and so forth. So this standoff is ongoing. There's a bunch of stuff. Definitely look it up. I'm just a voice here on the internet. You're listening to me. I'm doing my best, but definitely you have all those resources before you. Make sure you do good sourcing. Look at where you're getting the information. See where the source information is living at. And report what you want, or just read it, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. I can't word for word for you. Sorry. But yeah, definitely I am a proponent of everyone looking up everything I'm saying, because I do not believe the internet. So definitely question me, but I am bringing this to you live, doing my best to describe what I'm seeing, hearing, and so on. I am the host right now. But yeah, I very advocate that you can source everything you hear and see on the internet. But usually I just bring in stuff live, so it's kind of hard. This is what's happening. It's pretty simple. This is literally what's happening. So this is the other one. You got more. You have a police vehicle here, a van now. I think these are the folks that were at the other side. They must have driven all the way around to here now. I'm not sure what they're going to decide to do.
We love you. We love you.
They're chanting, "We love you." This is Ramsey County, I think, right? I mean, Hennepin County. I apologize. We gotta double check the county. Oh yeah. This is Hennepin County. They were the sheriffs that were sent to Standing Rock and were on the front line with their batons. And they're the ones here to make these arrests. Pretty sure it's Hennepin County, right? A bunch of protests happening afterwards. Anyway, so these folks are continuing to hold this space. We see police now are kind of gathering, at least at this entranceway. I saw them at the other one. I think they must have moved over here. We're going to stick around here and see what happens for a while. Again, thanks for joining us. This is Lorenzo the Unicorn Riot. We're witnessing this never again Twin Cities action that's trying to disrupt ICE facilities. The Jewish and immigrant community has organized it, saying never again to the private detention centers along the border. They're putting these children into what they say concentration camps, where already people have lost their lives. Children have lost their lives, saying this has to change, this has to stop. And they come together to make that obvious, I guess, by holding this space for so long. They've been here for hours. Again, they say this is the anniversary of the first Never Again action, a 1-month anniversary. This is the beginning of a movement of Jewish communities and immigrant communities. Just give me a second. I am gonna. Just a second. All right. I could use water and stuff. I'm not worried. I'm not too worried about it. I feel pretty good. Just practicing, not having anything.
You got everything though. I got you. Hold on.
These people are not moving in a circle. Police over here are just making discussions. I think about how they're going to move in here. If they decide to move in here, I can't tell you if they have decided. Huge thank you to everyone on Periscope right now, Facebook, YouTube, and live stream. Thank you so much for joining us. To all our followers on Twitter, please go ahead and hit that. Share that link out on Periscope and so on. Hit that share button. Again, we're a non-profit media organization. We do not spend any money on commercials. The only way people hear about us is they see us on your timeline by sharing our stuff. So thanks so much for everyone who does that. You're definitely making our platform possible. And again, we are a non-profit media organization. If you want to donate to support coverage like this, please go to unicornriot.ninja, click support our work. There's a donation page there. You can give what you can. If you're on Facebook, you can give through that. You can give on Patreon if you're on there. Again, we are just providing this as a service to the community. A live feed now for over 2 hours, I think. And if you keep following us, you'll see we're kind of in a lot of different places. And right now we're covering this ongoing action here outside the ICE facility. We've also covered actions and immigrant rights actions in Boulder and Colorado. Big ups to our team there. Alex is there right now doing a lot of that work, bringing stories to you about the sanctuary movement. And also, if you do look back in our timeline history, you'll see we actually were on the border for about a month at the end of last year during the election cycle. You can see a lot of our coverage, hours of live streams from on the ground from Tijuana as migrant caravans were sort of stopped, and we're experiencing basically the shifting of laws very quickly that happen along the border. Again, thanks for joining us. This is Lorenzo, your host. I'm going to put this down for a second. Everyone go ahead and take a little bit of a break. I don't know what will happen. Again, we have a bunch of police over here. But if you got to use the bathroom, so on, go ahead. I'm going to put this down and just take a second. Thanks again for being with us. This is Unicorn Riot. Stay live. We're staying live. I'm just not talking. I'm just letting you see what's going on right now. We are not going down.
We're right here in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here, we rise.
rest, they have a van back there, and then there's like 6 sheriffs. Okay. So yeah, I was trying to see like how many police are on the ground here now, or at least sheriffs. Hennepin County sheriffs seem to be the most of the people who are here right now. Yeah, this has been hours now. This whole road has been shut down. People trying to get out of the federal building have been stopped. Hours, 37 minutes. So we have to go down at 4, like before 4. Oh, because the little loop on Facebook? I think it's 4. I could be wrong.
Jen can let us know because they'll say right on.
So we've been live for 2 hours and 37 minutes.
I'm literally wearing an Olami shirt inside out.
Looks like people are moving along the street. I don't know if everyone's coming over here now. You can see Hennepin County Sheriff is moving along the street. you tell me what's going on right now?
Yeah, I believe they're going to be. Oh, yeah. So the folks who risked arrest are being taken now by the sheriffs, and they're going to be booked and cited. And that's the extent of my knowledge right now.
All right. So these folks all are holding hands, and the police are going to arrest them or book and cite them. So it'd be like, give them a ticket and let them leave. It's really unclear. Does anyone want to talk about why they're doing this? No? Abolish ICE? Hold on.
So why we're doing this, you can't just stand by and watch as this happens. We know that genocide happens in stages. We know it starts with persecution. It starts with demonization, dehumanization, deportation. So we can't stand by. We've seen this before, and if we were to stand by, we'd be bad Jews.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for being excited.
And this is Twin Cities Never Again. It's part of a movement?
Yeah, it's a larger movement. I think it's just a bunch of Jews who sort of came together and were really frustrated and disgusted with what was going on. Very grassroots. It's not an organization. It's just a movement. We were inspired by other cities. We hope to inspire other cities.
And it's Jewish communities and immigrant communities organized this event?
Yeah, it's like Jewish communities and those who have historically experienced persecution, dehumanization, deportation, or familial separation. Native families too, Black folks who their families were separated. So all those who stand with us can join us.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna move back here. These folks, looks like they're gonna be cited or by the police for blocking the road, and they're here. I'm just kind of watching this.
There's a crack in everything. That's how the light. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light. That's how the light gets in. Forget your perfect offering. Just ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. That's how. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light. That's how the light gets in. Forget your perfect offering. Just ring the bells that still can ring. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light. That's how the light.
His ride along is like a AR-15. It used to be a shotgun back in the day, you know?
That's how the light gets in.
I don't know what to say. Oh, that's legit. So these people are just being cited, released? Is that what's going on?
They're just being cited. You're correct. They're not being taken anywhere.
Okay.
They still have a citation issue. Oh, can I run over here?
All right. So yeah, it's a citation for trespassing or for disorderly conduct or what?
Unlawful assembly.
Unlawful assembly? All right. Well, that's the name of the brass band. Oh, it's the name of the brass band that's here. So he said that people are being cited for unlawful assembly, and the brass band that's here is called Unlawful Assembly. I just want to point that out. So, yeah. Well, let's get sit here, I guess, and watch this go down and witness it together. Again, thanks for joining us here on Ideological Riot. This is Twin Cities Never Again. Jewish and immigrant communities coming together to organize this action in front of the Whipple building here, this federal building where it has ICE courts, ICE detention centers in it. They're saying that these detention centers across the United States are like concentration camps. They're saying under Never Again, Jews against ICE. You heard abolish ICE, feeling that ICE is a federal institution that is now targeting targeting communities, and they felt they were saying that they were targeted during the reign of Nazi Germany. I'm not saying that this is what's going on here, or at least the beginning of it's starting to accelerate here in the United States. And we're up here in Minnesota, really far north from the border of the southern border. Again, we're near another border, the northern border of the United States, so-called United States. And so, yeah, even here there's this ice somewhere. There's ice actions. As ice actions, ice arrests, and so people in the Twin Cities area are trying to protest this, bring attention to this, and saying that targeting communities is not okay. We also heard some other voices along the way saying that they were not very happy this was happening because it was disrupting their ability to get home. We had some of those conversations going back and forth, but here we're now witnessing the people who are holding that space. You saw earlier vehicles trying to move through them, said they wanted to disrupt business as usual. We heard from different spokespeople, and now they're being cited by the police, but again, they're saying they're doing this in love, and you see them here sort of orderly together. So I'm going to move, I think, over here to the end of this line, look down it. We're going to be able to see everyone who's being cited. I'm going to talk about sort of what we witnessed so far today and see if we can bring anybody out, tell a little bit of history of this Never Again movement. So the speaker said it was a grassroots movement, they said. Different Jewish communities and immigrant communities, impacted communities who've experienced this. We talked to a person whose family, Japanese family, was in internment camps during World War II. Also talking about the history of Native Americans who are in Fort Snelling here, who are in the thousands kept there, starved. If you look at the history of the United States, there's a history of these events sort of happening over and over again. So you have folks saying never again.
M is getting cited. Thank you, M.
So they're chanting the people's name who are being cited. How many?
Aldana's getting cited. Thank you, Aldana.
There's like 20 or so people. So
Ethan got cited. Thank you, Ethan.
We'll stay here and then I'll do a recap at the end.
Abby got cited. Thank you, Abby.
Yeah, Fort Snelling is an unorganized territory. It's not actually part of the city. It has been part under the federal control system since initial settlement, white settlement, colonization, so on and so forth. So you can look at that. Again, Minnesota has a pretty rough history with its indigenous people. And so these organizers made sure to bring attention to that history, family separations, and also the biggest mass execution history happening here.
Mira's getting excited. Thank you, Mira.
So as we were talking to people earlier, like this history of separation, family separation is a history that's already happened in the United States. Native Americans have been bringing up the history of boarding schools for a while now, and also putting that history on what's going on along the border as indigenous people from Central America are also trying to come up to the United States. In previous history, there was free paths of movement back and forth before these borders were created. After colonization, the first people who were already here were dislocated from their places through force and different broken treaties over and over and over again. That's just like common United States history if you look it up. It's in the books. All the generals and stuff probably wrote down what they were doing because they're really proud of themselves. So you can look that up. It's just sitting there. usually I'd be like, oh, but their private information is going into this computer, so that, people shouldn't be taking little photos of that. In case you're wondering. So it looks like this is winding down. People are being cited for unlawful assembly. As I said, the ban on unlawful assembly is playing nearby. This has been going on now for over 2 hours. At least this particular action, Never Again movement, saying they started recently, only like a month ago. I think it's more than that. At least the actions. It's the anniversary of this direct action where people were arrested in New Jersey today. Again, the resistance and struggle against what's going on is kind of since colonization, as always. And we're just kind of in the middle of it. And actually, the group who did this
Thank you, Mia.
Are we good to go now?
Thank you.
We're gonna go.
Wonderful.
Are we like meeting back?
Oh
yes.
Do you wanna?
I got a little.
Do you have stuff that went in the car?
Yeah.
The car is on its way back. Yeah, we can.
Purple highlights. Oh no, I don't need to leave. Is there like a? Are we all like?
Pardon me. Hello.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really important as a citizen here. I have the ability to do this without
Excited.
to control
Thank you, Rosa.
There are citizens in this country and other people in this country.
Somebody moved to this side, as I was saying, at the end of the folks being arrested.
Don't get anti. You can touch your mark.
I closed the camps, people holding hands.
Thank you so much for being here today and for keeping everyone safe and for saying Kein Mo mehr bei keinem nicht, never again for anyone.
I'm Naomi, and I just want to say that I know for a lot of us, this event was rooted in trauma, as we know what it feels like for us to have our ancestors historically marginalized, detained, treated in inhumane conditions, and we know what it feels like. And for that, we say never again.
Again, thank you everyone so much for being here and disrupting business as usual for 5 whole hours.
By coming here together today, we have shown that we are not going to rest until the camps are closed. We are not going to rest until ICE is defunded. And we are not going to rest until all immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers have permanent protection.
We are staying here to make sure that all of our comrades over on that line there risking arrest and citation and booking are safe.
And with that, I would love it if we could pray together and say the Shechechianu. The Shechechianu is a prayer that you say when it's the first time that something happens, and when it's something that you want to have happen again. And so we want to keep gathering, we want to keep protesting, we want to say never again, again, and again, and again, until we don't have to.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah
I don't have the answer.
Somebody being cited right there. We're gonna leave them again. They're getting personal information, so I don't want to be near them as they're doing that. That's why I'm walking away. So let's keep moving here. So yes, they have this line of police of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 who are all processing people. They're bringing them over here. Just slide by you here, sorry. Yep. All right. Yeah, so the police would set up these different vehicles or officers inside are taking people's personal information and citing them for unlawful assembly for the ongoing disruptions. Like they said, they wanted to disrupt business as usual, and for doing that, they're getting cited, I guess. But yeah, that's what's going on. And this is a never again action. It's more than that's going on, obviously. In front of this ICE facility where there's ICE courts, ICE detention centers. Twin Cities Never Again, along with different Jewish communities and immigrant communities, organize this to disrupt business as usual and say abolish ICE, no to the ongoing concentration camps, and just kind of pushing forward this thing here. See this person, we spoke to them earlier. This is never again.
Eli's getting excited. Thank you, Eli.
Abolish ICE, close the camps, abolish ICE, close the camps. And so pretty obvious why folks are here. They're wearing it.
Bee's getting excited. Thank you, Bee. Thank you, Bee.
So as I was saying, abolish ICE, close the camps, never again means now. Abolish ICE, Twin Cities Never Again action, close the camps, close the camps. So like I said, really obvious why people are here. They're wearing it around their necks as they're being cited for disrupting and stopping traffic here. They were saying that they were doing this out of love earlier. Singing "They've Gone On Far Too Long" to my left. I'm just kind of witnessing this right now, so bear with us a second here.
Laura's getting excited. Thank you, Laura. Love you, Laura.
I'm just looking around right now. Again, we're just witnessing people being cited right now for holding the spaces. If you watched the stream, you saw all the different entrance ways that were blocked by people. The people who are doing it, so they're willing to be risk arrest. The police are saying they're going to cite them. They're taking their citations and they're going to leave after hours of holding the space.
Stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back. We love you, Noah. Stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back.
No, but I can do this.
Stand up, fight back. 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 Stand up, fight back.
Yeah, I guess. I'm just trying to answer you, but you're trying to ask me something else. So that's all good though.
Up with liberation, down with deportation.
We love you, bro.
Thank you. Woo! Thank you. Flip is getting excited. Thank you, Flip.
Who was before Flip? Who was before Flip? Who was Brian?
Were you interested in talking about what's going on here at all?
Yeah, I would be happy to.
Where should we do it? Can we do it right over here in front of
With deportation.
So what's going on? We saw a bunch of people be cited. I mean, what's going on here today?
So we were here to disrupt business as usual. Whipple is a deportation court, and we are showing up here until the camps at the border are closed, until all the detention camps are closed, until all immigrants and refugees and asylum seekers have permanent protection, and until ICE is defunded. And so this was how we showed up.
This is Twin Cities Never Again?
Yes.
And it's the anniversary of another Never Again action, or what was?
So, no, Never Again, the first action was in June, I forget the exact date, and so it's been a national movement that's growing, led primarily by young Jews who are standing up against this and saying, if we were taught Never Again, this is what that's about. And so we're in conjunction with the rest of Never Again National.
So Never Again, something that's taught to like young Jews, or?
Yes, it's taught to us as kind of the story of the Holocaust. We can never let this happen again. And people talk about, I was taught this in my synagogue, I was taught this in my summer camp, I was taught this by my grandparents, and so this is how we're putting that teaching into practice.
And how can, I guess, what should people look for? How can people get involved, or I don't know what you want?
Yeah, absolutely. Our Facebook is Twin Cities Never Again Action. Follow us on Facebook. There's a Google form where you can fill out to get more involved and get more connected for folks who are interested. We would love to have as many people in this movement with us as possible. We are building a base and a coalition. This is not the end.
The first action, right? So it's like the beginning?
Yes,
Here
exactly.
at least. It's ongoing everywhere. All right. And then can you talk about the comparison of the detention centers to concentration camps at all, or how?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we say is there were many types of concentration camps during the Holocaust. People have said, they're not the death camps yet, but they are like other concentration camps in the Holocaust. And if we're waiting for that yet before we act, the bar is way too high. And so we are saying, no, these are concentration camps. This is what happened, and it is past time for us to act.
And then part of this, the action or the details are talking about Fort Snelling, the history of Fort Snelling. I don't know if we could speak to that.
Yes, so we also want to acknowledge that we are on occupied Dakota and Anishinaabe land. Fort Snelling was used as a concentration camp in the Dakota-U.S. War of 1862 to imprison Dakota people. And so we know that this history is nowhere near new.
Thank you so much. So do you want to say your name at all?
Yes, my name is Trachtenberg, and I use they, them pronouns.
Right on, me too.
Awesome.
Peace. All right, so we got somebody that's speaking to one of the different organizers, the people here talking about the ICE building, or federal building. Again, that's federal property. They're saying that the Fort Snelling is like unincorporated, like sort of managed by the federal government. Fort Snelling used to be a concentration camp for Dakota and Anishinaabe people in the 1860s, what we're hearing there. So kind of pointing out the ongoing history and sort of resistance to things like this that have happened in this country already, and seeing themselves as part of this. And saying Never Again is this teaching that was taught to them, and saying that there's different types of concentration camps. Obviously, the ones that people know most about are the death camps people were put to death. There's also other places where people were dying but just being held, and that's what this person they were saying was that. It's not there yet. But what are they waiting for? Are you waiting for it to get that bad? Because it's already bad. People are already dying. Children are dying. Their formative years are being formulated in detention centers that are run by private institutions for profit. And that's the legacy of the United States right now.
Hey, look at the deputy over there taking pictures. The deputy was using her cell phone to take video pictures of us. She doesn't feel good about this.
Nice to meet you. I'm Steve.
Seriously, I would like the dude to bring back the stuff.
No.
That kid, right there.
Objective achieved! It wasn't about getting arrested, it was about disruption. Aerial flick.
Do you have a number of how many people
Good job, everyone.
Last more.
Yeah, particularly everyone.
Good to meet you.
I was so, you know, when I first saw you, I didn't realize
All right, there we go.
it's legal in servers.
The last group of people here are being cited right now. Again, we are outside the federal building here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I think it's One Federal Plaza, One Federal Way was the address. You're looking on the internet. It's near Fort Snelling. We've been here for, let's see if I can look, for over 3 hours now. We've been live following this action that has stopped and disrupted this area for, like I said, 3 hours. Their goal was to disrupt the area, to bring attention to ICE detention, ICE courts. They're putting people into private detention centers along the border, which they're equating to concentration camps, asking why people are waiting for them to get worse when they're already bad enough to kill people. They're overcrowded and filthy, equating to other concentration camps that weren't kill camps, but they were where people are being held and dying still. Really intense. Just really intense.
She said she was with the crowd, so I assume she's
This is the last group of people I think are being cited.
Down here because they walked everybody, but there was just more kind of angry cars earlier. Like nobody got
We're not trying to look at other people, but like they were all giving really sob stories. Sob stories. You can't do that. I got my ginger
Phil.
leadership.
One second here. I'm just kind of watching the last people being cited. I think this might be the last person being cited right here. Let's listen to the last person who's being cited right here. All right, everybody. The witness, this last person received the citation. I see they're being helped up.
Are they done?
Oh, good to see you.
I think everyone's just talking amongst themselves. I don't really want to be in the middle of it. Oh, we're live cameras always live. Weird. Like people with some sort of space. Move over here. Again, so that's all the people got cited. We're here, and it's about 25. We're going to try to get the exact number for you. Again, this is Minneapolis, Minnesota. They're still singing. The action saw a lot of singing, tons of singing, every point of it. A lot of song.
Where we at? We're right here. Won't be divided. Right. Let's go up the Yes, 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 yes.
I think we're on the home stretch.
Number 11 on the song.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. Huh? I don't know. Let's just do one and go down. We can just do one.
Yeah, when this time.
Yeah. We're trying to say how we're to take the stream down. We're not going down quite yet. We did have a team on the ground now. We might do like a little bit of in between us, so we talk about what happened before we went down. We go down. Again, just a big thank you to everyone that joined us, and remind you, please hit subscribe, like, share, follow, get notified, all that stuff. Again, our social media platform, you watching on it is how we stay seen and heard. So thank you so much for doing that and sharing out this content. This is Twin Cities Never Again that we are witnessing here. You're watching this on unicornriot.ninja. We are a 501c3 educational nonprofit. We are horizontally organized, no bosses in our organization. And you are the people who make this organization work. So thank you so much to all our patrons and donors for making this possible. If you look at our social media platform right now on Twitter, you can see there's a donation ask right on the top there. If you want to give, you can go ahead and click that. Also on Facebook, become a recurring donor, give a little bit every month. We have a lot more coverage coming to you. And if you look at our webpage, unicornriot.ninja, you'll see a lot of coverage. We were in Tijuana as the migrant caravan was arriving, as these camps were being increased and so on. And so we've also been following different ICE actions in Boulder and the Colorado area. Some different members of our organization there on the ground. And so, yeah, so we have a lot of different types of content. We just want to bring this to you live. People who are cited here.
That'd be great. Okay.
Just received their citation. All right. Well, you want to do the thing? I think we're going to take it down, right? Where should we go?
I think the citations.
There's a cool background.
All right. Well, let's go right there. All right. So we're going to try to do we've never done this before, so let's get ready.
It looks like the time has come for us to say goodbye to each other, but let's finish with one more song.
All right. Hold on.
Love you. We 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 love you.
Let's do one more song. Let's go over here. So we're gonna take it down. They're gonna sing. So you want me to flip it around? This is Lorenzo. I've been the one talking the whole time. You're your host right now. We have John Z. I think
we got Nico back here straggling.
Yeah, Nico back there. We have Jen, who's on the back end, so you can't see them, but they're doing work for the organization as well right now. I'm not sure who else is doing work. Yeah, how'd you want to do this?
Yeah, sure.
What up, everybody?
How's it going, everybody?
So thank you all for tuning in. What you saw was hours. How many hours? What time
it was? Like 3 hours.
4 hours? Okay. Well, maybe we just start and then go off of what everybody saw. What we saw when we were walking in from where I was on the other side, a lot of cars were very mad. The blockade started, 2 cars pulled up of the blockade and created a blockade, and that was because it created the hard blockade because cars were literally smashing through people. Nobody got ran over that we saw, but that was a consistent theme on that side. Then the blockades were also in the middle and over here where we're at. And what'd you see over here?
I think, there was a lot of different blockades. I'd say 5 to 6 different blockades, and there's a lot of people here. It was very organized. They were able to keep people from entering and leaving the Bishop Henry Whipple building here. For most of the time that we were here, most of the 3 hours, there were times where cops were able to direct some people through some weird exits they found, but a majority of the people were sitting here for a lot of the time. So from the protesters' perspective, I think it was very successful. For their end, nobody got actually arrested, just detained and released today. There were a few instances, like Nico said, of people trying to ram through protesters. We tweeted a video out of the aftermath of one of those where the guy was still trying to go, even though the cop was trying to tell him to turn the car off. Fortunately, no major injuries that I heard of. But yeah, Nico said there were a lot of people who were angry. There were some dialogue, some people getting out of their car, actually talking to a lot of protesters. A lot of dialogue was actually happening, which I think is part of the point of what's happening, to get people to know what they're here for. They're here. ICE detentions and everything, and how that's impacting everybody. So to see some of these dialogues happening, I think that was very refreshing.
Yeah, again, it was a Twin Cities Never Again action. Jewish and immigrant communities organized it. This is the federal building. You can see the federal building. There's an ICE courts, ICE detention center inside. People wanted to disrupt it. They did for 3 hours. We witnessed it again, multiple blockades, different interactions, vehicles trying to go through, people holding the ground. That's pretty much what went down. Right? Yeah. So again, this is Lorenzo with Unicorn Riot. Nico, John, Jen's in the background running sort of all the technology in the back end. Thank you so much for that work. Boom, I think I got some sun. Great. If you want to keep following us, just hit like, follow, share. Again, we're a nonprofit. If you're watching on Facebook, there's a donation ask right there. Please get what you can. Become a recurring donor. We're going to keep hitting the streets, keep showing you what's happening. Again, we're UnicornRiot.Ninja, 501c3 educational nonprofit, bringing you information. Thanks for joining us. We're going to go down now.
Thank you all. There's some really good interviews we got though too.
There's no way you can see our shadows. We're good. We're taking the stream down. Thank you so much for joining us. People are leaving right now. People are leaving in groups. But yeah.